to day 21 of Month of Biz Love. Today it is all about taking your mission, turning it into a strategy, and then deciding on your tactics. Mostly today we're going to focus on strategy. Before we get into that, just want to remind you, you can get the workbook at tarasweiger.com/monthofbizlove. You can participate in the Instagram community, which is just full of really great, smart ideas by using the hashtag #monthofbizlove when you answer these challenges on Instagram. You can start wherever you are. If you're just finding us, even though we're on day 21, go back and start on day 1. People are all over the place. The main thing is for you to love your business more, not to come up with things that are making you feel guilty for not having done them. So do not let the month of Biz Love be something that weighs you down and guiltifies your business. Instead, pick something you think will make your business more fun or make you love it more. Maybe day 8, which is all about finding the love in your business. Maybe the celebration and review. Episode 110 of my podcast talks about the joy of celebration and review. Just a couple things can help you enjoy your business more. So remember, don't let it stress you out. So with that, let's talk about strategy. It's going to be a quick lesson today because I talked about this in an episode of the podcast. It's called Mission Strategy Tactics. And I just had the podcast number in my head and I forgot it, but I will link to it at the bottom of this video. I talk all about what it means to choose your tactics. Things like, what hashtag should I use on Twitter? What kind of Pinterest boards should I have? What should my brand colors be? And that should all stem from your strategy, how you're going about building the business you want. And that stems from your mission. That is why on day 2 of the challenge, I ask you to get clear about both your internal and external mission, because that's the only way you can make sure that the things you're actually doing in your business are in alignment with the business you want. Is get clear about your dream business and get clear about your mission. Get very clear about what it is you want your business to do in the world and what you want your business to do for you. So if you haven't yet listened to day 2 of Month of Biz Love, do that because we talk about internal and external mission. If you haven't filled out that worksheet page, do that first or else today's won't make as much sense. So now, talked about your mission. You've even set goals or a goal for the thing you're working on next in your business. And then we've talked about how to actually get that stuff done, how you're going to overcome obstacles, how you're going to use your strengths, how you're going to get support. But I want you to look now at the stuff you're doing in your business and see, does this align with my mission? And this question, the stuff I'm spending my time on, does it align with my mission, is a regular question. In fact, it's part of my monthly review that I have Starship captains and Liftoff captains do as like every single month at the end of the month. So if you're in the Starship or if you're in Liftoff, at the end of every month, I ask you review questions. And one of them is related to, are the things you're doing in alignment with your goal, which is in alignment with your mission? That things you are doing should be related to a strategy. So I talk about this way more in the podcast episode. I explain how it all works together. So I want you guys to go back and listen to that. But a quick overview is that your mission is what you want to do. Your strategy is your plan for how you're going to go about doing it. And your tactics are like the little things you're going to do day after day. So an example, because people always struggle with like, okay, what's my strategy, is if I asked you, this is an example, this is a question for you, to come up with your strategy. You answer the question, how am I going to go about reaching this mission? And then you prioritize. So you might have a strategy for growing your business, but you're not actually there yet. So maybe you want to send monthly newsletters, but you haven't actually set up your newsletter thing. So your first tactic you'll do is setting up your newsletter software and putting it onto your website. Maybe you don't even have a website yet. Okay, so you have to go back, and that's what you have to do. So your strategy just kind of outlines those steps you need to take to create the kind of business you want to build. And then also it can go deeper, and it can be things like your marketing plan, where you decide what you're going to say and when you're going to say it, and like the schedule on which you're going to keep. That's all involved in the strategy. And then your tactics is actually you doing it, things like how to get more followers, how to get more newsletter subscribers. You guys might know that every podcast episode I put out either has a transcript or a worksheet. That is one of my list building strategies, but that's a tactic. Creating that worksheet and doing it every week and attaching it to the podcast episode, that is a tactic. If I had worried about that tactic before I knew my strategy or my mission, I would have been super overwhelmed. and that I wasn't ready for that tactic till I did a bunch of other things in my business and my strategies. Okay, so if you're feeling overwhelmed, it might be that you're trying to like collect all these tactics. Blog posts and even podcast episodes are typically about an individual tactic. Most of the stuff you read online about business is about the tactic and not about the mission and strategy. And I've talked to other teachers who teach tactics, and they know that, and they like that. Like, I've had teachers tell me, you know what, I don't want to deal with the mission and strategy stuff. I want them to figure it out, and then I want to help them with the tactic. And that's good. We need people teaching all areas, right? I focus on the mission and strategy because the tactics are going to change. As your business grows, as the internet changes, as Instagram changes their rules, the tactics are going to change, but your mission and strategy can be a little more long lasting. So an example of a strategy is, I want to grow my business to make X dollars a month. And I realize that one of my strategies, because I get most of my sales from my newsletter list, will be to increase my newsletter list by X amount of people in total, and then I'm going to break that down into months, and then I'm going to break that down into weeks. And then I'm going to look for what kind of tactics would help me implement that strategy. What do I do to increase my newsletter list that amount? Another strategy might be, if you're just starting your business, I want to have a profitable business that pays me X amount a month. Well, we walk through the strategies you need for that in the class Pay Yourself. Pay Yourself isn't currently available online except for to Liftoff and Starship members. But that class walks you through actually the strategy and the tactics to take that goal of it paying you. And what are some of the strategies and tactics? You have to figure out that your stuff is profitable. You have to figure out your break-even point. You have to figure out how many products you need to sell to not only break even, but in order to pay yourself the amount you want to be paid. So the strategy for that goal would be figuring out my numbers, which we're going to talk about more in an upcoming challenge, figuring out my numbers and then selling what I need to sell. Okay, what are the tactics that are going to help me do that? So another way, your goal might in itself define what your strategy is. Your goal might have the definition of your strategy wrapped right up in it. So for example, if your goal for the next 3 months is to increase your newsletter list by doing A, B, and C, that's your strategy. And then you got to figure out the tactics, all the little things you'll do to make that happen. So some people, when I talk about this mission and then strategy and then tactics, are like, you know what? That's not how I run my business. I just I'm really excited about something. I do the project. I get paid for the project. I move on. And here's the thing. If your business is working the way you want it to work and you're happy with how it's going, you can keep working that way. There's nothing you do not need to think about. This is just a framework for defeating overwhelm, for realizing why you feel so scattered. This is a framework. This is not something this isn't a framework that everybody needs. If you're really happy with your business right now, then forget about this framework and keep working under the framework you're working in now. But if you feel scattered and you feel like you aren't making any progress towards your mission, it might be that you jumped right into tactics and you skipped over strategy. So to come up with your strategy, you just answer this question. What will I do? How could I reach that mission? And then you might have 500 ideas. You want to prioritize the ones for where you are right now in your business, for what matters first in your business. And some of that is going to be really obvious. If you don't yet have a website or you don't even have items in your shop, then you need to do that before you worry about, are you blogging regularly or are you Instagramming regularly? So when you ask the question, how do I enact my mission, both my external mission for what my business does in the world and the internal mission of what my business does for me, you might be like, well, I could have a newsletter list, I could have a website, I could have an Etsy shop, I could send newsletters every month and talk about X, I could post on Instagram. Those are all strategies. You're going to choose to work on the ones and to implement the tactics of the ones that make most sense for where you are right now, for the one that's the biggest. One phrase that people use to talk about this is the biggest domino. What is the thing that if you knocked that out would make the other things easier? So that might be another way for you to narrow down your strategies of what you're going to focus on right now. Over time, all of those strategies will be in play together to create the kind of business you want to create. So in my business, I've talked about this before, my mission externally is to help you guys feel not alone, in your business as a maker, artist, crafter, and to provide great education that teaches you how to trust yourself and become your own best business expert so you can answer your own questions. Because a lot of this, as you guys hear me say all the time, is dependent on you, what you want, what you like to do, who your people are. So I want to help you answer those questions based on who you are. And so going forward, you can answer them for yourself. My internal mission is that my business pays my bills for my family and helps us save for future family goals. So the strategies involve Periscope. They involve challenges like the Month of Biz Love or the Biz Confidence. It involves my weekly podcast. It obviously involves my website and having everything available to buy on my website. But all of these things have built up over time. I started out with just the website and some products. My whole suite of products also are involved in my strategy. But once I've created them, they're just there. And then launching them, my whole launch strategy is a strategy. But I'm not working on every strategy all the time. Some of them have systems, and some of them are my focus for a period of time, and then they're not. Like, that was my focus. I worked on it. Okay, now I'm moving on to the next focus. So when you think about your strategies for getting to your mission, you're not going to do them all at one time, but you do need to know what is the strategy you're enacting right now, what is the overarching strategy, and then what are the tactics that fit underneath that. So today's challenge is for you to identify the things you're doing that are not in alignment with your current strategy for your current mission and your current goal. That's it. You do not have to define your strategy. You do not have to have some big explanation. You don't need a big business plan. When I say strategy, I don't mean what are you going to do every day for the next 10 years or some business plan you would give a bank. Just mean knowing what's the thing you're focusing on to get you closer to that. All right. And so share with us what are either the things you're doing that are in alignment with your strategy. What are the things you're doing that aren't in alignment? You can share either one on Instagram with the hashtag #monthofbizlove. And don't forget, Liftoff opens tomorrow. You can sign up, even though it's not open, if you go to tarasweiger.com/lift, you can sign up there to be notified. And if it's already open, when you go to tarasweiger.com/lift, you will see all of the information. So thank you so much for being here. I will see you tomorrow when we talk about some of the strategies you might need to move forward on your mission. So I wanted to teach you this today so that when we dive into what some of the strategies can be, you've thought through what's the strategy you need most. So we'll talk about knowing your numbers, marketing your work, being more effective in your time. Those are 3 of the big strategy paths people are going through that I mostly work with that are building their craft business. So tarasweiger.com/lift, and be back here tomorrow to talk about foundations. Thanks so much and have a really, really great day.